सुशांत भारती जी, व्रज भक्ति विलास।
आराम से, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गोपालभट्टप्रिय पूज्य शालिग्रामोद्भवं श्यामलतनुं सुशोभं बिभ्रङ्गरूपं कलवेणुवक्त्रं श्रीशीलराधारमणं नमामि. A lot of speakers have set the stage for me. It will not be a difficult thing for me to go to each and everything. So I will straight away take you to the thing that सात जो हमारी मुख्य पुरियाँ हैं उसमें से मथुरा, हरिद्वार, अयोध्या, काशी, उज्जैन, द्वारका इत्यादि ये सब आते हैं. मेन स्टोरी जो ब्रज के सेटिंग में स्टार्ट होती है इन करंट नरेटिव और करंट हिस्ट्री स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम विद द अराइवल ऑफ चैतन्य महाप्रभु व्हेन ही कम्स टू वृंदावन फर्स्ट. He starts his pilgrimage from Navadip, and it's in 1515 when Lodhis were ruling Delhi. He enters Braj Mandal, and on the day of Kartik Purnima, he enters Vrindavan and rediscovers Vrindavan. He rediscovers the Panchakoshi, the Leela Sthali where Ras happened. So this was the important part when how all the cultural activities and all the spiritual entities are entering in this holy abode. After that, when Mahaprabhu goes back to Bengal, he sent back his 6 disciples. वो 6 अपने शिष्यों को भेजे. षड गोस्वामी कहते हैं ऐछाई गोसाई कौरी चरण बंदन जहाँ होते विघ्ननाश अविष्ट पूर्ण. ऐछाई गोसाई जोबे ब्रजे कोइलावास राधा कृष्ण नित्य लीला कौरीला प्रकाश. This line comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it comes in the Murari Gupta Karchaya. Murari Gupta was close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He writes, Vrindavanaya gantavyam bhakti shastra nirupanam lupta tirtha prakasham cha tan mahatyam pisputam. So this was the task given to these 6 disciples. They came to Vrindavan, and according to text, they started working. But the main thing happened a few years after when the Narayan Bhatta was born. So जय जय श्री नारायण भट्ट प्रकट जग में भय फूले नर और नारी मोद उपजत नये मुनि नारद को अवतार दे ये नर धरी मथुरा मंडल गुप्त रीत प्रकटक करी. So Narayan Bhatta, he was born in Madurai, in current in Tamil Nadu state in 1531, and he was a Rigvediya Telanga Brahman. And at the age of 12 years, he comes to Vrindavan by the divine blessing, and he was in the parampara of Shri Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit was a close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what our friend Shantanu sir told, the Navyanaya Parampara, the new logic. So he was under the Guru Shishya Parampara of the new logic and also the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So this idea of logic was inhabited in him. So when he was going around the area of Braj Mandal, so he had this idea of logic, that why this particular tirtha or why this particular spot has to be chosen for particular deity. And he stayed, although it is said that he used to stay in a village called Ucha Karam, which is near Barsana, but he happens to write in his text Braj Bhakti Vilas that he stayed near Radhakund. He completed all the work nearby Radhakund, compiling the work over there. So for the period of 8 years, he traveled all over the Braj Mandal, seeing all the groves, all the Van, all the Parvat, all the Kunds. And it was in year 1553 when Braj Bhakti Vilas was compiled and formed on the banks of Radhakund. And there were other important texts like Braj Pradipika, Brajossav Chandrika, Braj Mahodadi, Brajossav Ahladani, Brihad Braj Gunossav, and Braj Prakash. All these texts add somewhat another in bringing out the various themes of the Braj Mandal Parikrama. So what was जो एक पीछे का इनका idea था was that as we know that Vrindavan and Braj Mandal is full of flora and fauna. So you see that wherever he is pointing a tirtha or a spot, there is a water body or there is a sacred grove. So in order to so what we see that this the conservation का जो principle है, the environmental conservation का जो principle है, it was very well known by Narayan Bhatt. So that's how he is playing with the human psychology and the environmental psychology during that particular context. So about Braj Bhakti Vilas, it has 13 sections, 108 leaves. So what he says is there are 133 vanas, 91 on the right bank and 42 on the left bank. Then there are various typology because we have the 4 Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha. According to that, we have 5 Sevya Vana, 12 Tapovana, 12 Moksha Vana, 12 Kama Vana, 12 Artha Vana, and 12 Siddha Vana. So he writes that Ityashta Chatvari Samashritani, Vanani Punyani, Manorthanani, Shri Bhatta Narayan Nirmitani, Vrajakarakya Vajmandalani. So it was due to this 12 vanas that this Braj Mandal was formed, and we can see that he gave 4 different categories. One was one. In one we have then 12 ones, then Upavan, Prativan, Adivan. So some people have this confusion that Vrindavan comes under the main one, but it is not. It comes under the Adhivan. So even I was shocked because I also had this idea that it comes under the main one because Vrindavan has been given so much importance. But according to the Varaha Puran, what Narayan Bhatt writes, it's under the Adhivana. So this is the area what he is defined. Brajamanda Bhulok Meka Vishanti Yojanam. So this is the right bank with the south part of the Yamuna, which is the complete Brajamandal. So this is the Govardhan, you can see, and this is Kamban. So this area is full Brajamandal is situated. And this is the Brajamandal map which I worked on my master's thesis I made. So you can see all the important ones coming out and the major groves area, what we can see, the major thick patches of groves. Although we have more trees inside, but these are the major thick vegetations we can see. And Mathura being the important cultural center and this urban center since ancient times had this importance over there. And we can see the route which is being still there and still in use over in today's context. The most important thing is he was not limited to one text. He took references for n number of texts like Matsya Purana, Varaha Purana, Bhavishya Purana, Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana. And I believe that this tendency of knowing all this Purana was due to his South Indian origin. Because he was a Telanga Brahman and we know very well how rich in the brains Telanga Brahmans are. Even Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya was a Telanga Bhatta Brahman, and that's how we can see that how by the God's mercy or by the order of Chaitanya, he is coming back to Braj in a very noble cause to reconstruct the Braj Yatra activity in the 16th century narrative. There are three important contributions of Narayan Bhatt. The first is the Braj Yatra, which we see in current narrative. So what he writes is a 23 days yatra which starts from Bhadrapada Krishna Ashtami, from Janmashtami to Bhadrapada Purnima, which is also known as Rakhi, Raksha Bandhan. So he is right that Evam Prakartavyam Yushmabhi Krishna Hetave Bhadramasya Site Pakshe Janmashtmaya Anantare. So this is a 23 days time period in which a yatra has to be started and has to be ended. So what we see that initially, according to various tradition, people take a yatra. कई लोग अपनी यात्रा का प्रण मथुरा से लेते हैं और मथुरा पे ही समर्पण करते हैं. In some tradition, they start yatra from Vrindavan and end on the other banks of Vrindavan, which is Belvan. So according to that, there are some variations. But the thing is that those places and that those 12 ones are fixed. उसमें कोई variations नहीं है. After that, what we see in later time, there was something called Braja Yatra. जिसमें important urban centers like Gokul, Nandavan, Mahavan, Vrindavan, इन सबको लिया गया. But what Narayan Bhatt initiated was, it was only the yatra of sacred groves. क्योंकि आपको समझना पड़ेगा कि उस टाइम का कंटेक्स्ट हमारा क्या था. There was an Islamic rule over there, and you cannot construct temples. So what he did was he shifted the complete religious idea that you don't have to manifest some temple, but that whole idea is now shifted to the groves. आप कितने पेड़ काटेंगे? एक काटेंगे, दो काटेंगे, पूरा वृंदावन को तो आप खत्म नहीं कर सकते. So that's how Narayan Bhatt played so very well with the psychology of that particular time, and he knew very importantly that what was the political context over that time. So this is the photo from the Govardhan Parikrama. What we see, it's from the Talheti photograph clicked. So this is the Vrinda Devi temple. So what I was telling you this, there is a water body, sacred groves and a temple. If you थोड़ा सा आप इकोलॉजी पे जाएं तो एक पानी के आसपास के एरिया को अगर आप शुद्ध रखेंगे तभी वाटर बॉडी शुद्ध होगी. The time you place a temple nearby a water body, the water body is automatically purified because the nearby area is sanctified due to the religious activities happening. That's why you see a Shiva temple always on the river bank. You travel around in Orissa, you will see n number of water bodies, tanks and a temple nearby. So that's the same principle what Narayan Bhatt is following. So whenever he is founding a kund and deity is not there, he is establishing a deity. So I will be telling about two deities more in next slides. So this is the Sankhari Kaur in Barsana, where you see the Leela of tax collecting activity, what he did, Krishna did with Radha. And Ras Leela, importantly, the enacting of the Ras Leela Manchan. This was started by Narayan Bhatta Goswami in 16th century. So till date, this you can see very well in Vraj and Vrindavan area beautifully. This is known as More Leela, which was enacted in More Kuti near Barsana. These are some photographs from Ras Leela. And the most important was establishing the most important temples. People will be surprised over here, the famous temple of Barsana. The deity was established by Narayan Bhatta Goswami. And this is the deity of Ladli ji and Govind ji. So they are established over there. It was established by Narayan Bhatti ji, and he used to live a village beside this village, which is known as Uchagram, which is a village of Lalita Sakhi. And also deity of Baldev ji, which is there inside the forest of Mahavan. So these were the important contributions done by him. I mean, wherever he found the deities, he installed them with constructing a temple or under a sacred group. Where he was not able to find anything, he constructed a deity and established. Because at the end, a Vigraha is needed to point someone's sadhana. It cannot be a Nirakar, because Vaishnava Tantra always goes to a Sakar Sarup, not to a Nirakar Sarup. So that's how, because the Gaudiya philosophy and the Vaishnava philosophy, so he did not challenge that. So he tried amalgamating all the possible things. And what I can say is that he is not someone who started from scratch. Obviously, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all of the people who came to Vrindavan did the contribution. But he was the main brain behind bringing all the dots and connecting all the dots and putting a plan that this is the complete picture of Braj. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sushantji. Before we go for a break, we may take up one or two questions. The next session after the break is, actually we have two sessions, altogether 6 papers. One session is on Maharashtra Yatra, the other one is Yatras Connecting Bharat. So we have to hurry before lunch. We have 6 papers after the break. So even during the break, please be very quick. Let us take a quick break and come back. Questions now.
Yeah. So thank you for this paper. Regarding the ecological aspects, you spoke a lot about the sacredness attached to the places and how it purifies the water bodies and also maintains the ecology. But what we see in modern day today is exactly the opposite. So if attaching sacrality to the places maintains ecology, why do we see the other way?
See, you are talking about current scenario. I will give you an instance of 16th century. There was a saint called Narayan Vyas, Hariram Vyasji. In 16th century, he is writing in a Brajbhasha code. He writes, "Mathura khudat katat Vrindavan." Obviously, JCB उस time पे थे नहीं. But still he is writing at that point of time, 16th century. So what you are saying is not something we started from now. Even we can challenge this question that all the temples which are coming in Vrindavan can also contribute to this same question, that are we not opposing the idea of, constructing the temples in Vrindavan and all. But we have to understand that there has to be a limit. Ati sarvatra vrjayet. What we seeing is the excess of that activities we started in late 15th century, 16th century. You are very true. I visit Vrindavan after every 10 to 15 days. I myself see all those things. We also try to preserve all this, the sacred groves in the Vrindavan. But the thing is that the locals over there, they are so much, उनको खुद ही इस बारे में इतना मतलब वो convince करना is very difficult task. They are totally opposite of the philosophy in the context of which they are living. So we cannot go, because for us Brijvasi is also a very sacred entity. We cannot go and challenge and beat them. So we can only request them and tell them. So it's a very tough task. We are trying to bridge the gaps between the things, and we do the plantation drives also when we go to Vrindavan whenever possible. So that's how we can do. I mean, there's a thing which is even I am facing, and I agree your question.
I want to make a very quick point about what Varda ji had just asked you. Actually, in my opinion, the kind of filth or the kind of uncleanliness is prevalent in most parts of our country, and that is more to do with the lack of infrastructure and the population. It is just that holy places, because many people come from outside, they get highlighted. So it is not as if because there is a temple, that place is getting polluted. Most of India is polluted. I mean, I have traveled extensively in the villages in Marathwada, and places which are never visited by anybody are also extremely polluted. So I really don't think that we are doing any harm to places like Vrindavan or Pandharpur because we are bringing in pilgrims. If anything,
Just to surprise you, in 1940, when 1914, when Gandhi came back to India, I was because in National Museum we were preparing for the 150th celebration of Gandhi ji. I read his travelogues. He visited Mathura first when he came back to India. He writes in a diary entry about the filth and the dirt he sees on the street of Mathura. So it's not something it's happening in the and what you are saying, I'm adding to your statement. And secondly, what you are saying, it's the sanitation and all, because you have to understand that these are old cities in terms of architecture and planning. These are organic cities, and I will agree that government have failed. The most important part is to have a proper sanitation system first. Then you have to go for the conservation and other aspect. But in our country, it's a total different approach. So no comments.
Varanasi itself is a very good example to show that if there is a willpower, we can clean up. Now the cleaning is going to happen all around Vishwanath temple because there is a willpower and we are able to do that. So now we take a break, a very quick break, and come back for the Maharashtra Yatra session.